So welcome. The transition process is what we're going to talk about. The scope of the theme for this year's conference is building a parachute of supports to enable your child to land safely in adulthood. So what is transition? Okay, depends on if you go by the federal definition, if you go by school definition, it's pretty much still all the same. Transition is a lifelong process, in my opinion, for how you assist your child into adulthood with a disability and into success. And I promise you, I did not pay Chris Thielen, but he told you really what you need to know, right? So what you see in front of you are the parachutes with different kinds of icons on them. Key things in terms of transition, we have 5 sections. We easily could spend an hour or more on each section. I have 5 minutes a section. So therefore, just understand that transition covers all aspects of life, and the importance is what your family values are generates where you're going to go with that. So transition for me and for Brazos Valley Center for Independent Living, and for most persons that work with transition, it actually begins at birth. Why is that important? Because as we're going to quickly go through slides, when we're talking about Medicaid waiver programs, for example, and don't raise your hand, but I would bet you lots of people in this room already know about Medicaid waiver programs. You don't start when someone's 18 years of age in your family and go, oh, what am I going to do when I'm older and I can't really take care of this person? What am I going to do? Transition begins at birth, when you know that there is a child with disability. If they qualify for waiver, they don't have to qualify financially at that point. They just have to, again, if it's an IDD type waiver and you suspect that it's IDD, then you get on the interest lists. And MHMR, the Brazos Valley, can help you with that. They have 2 of the interest lists for the state of Texas for the local authority. The other ones are handled through Health and Human Services, Department of State Health Services. So there's ways of getting on the waiver. There's easy information online. If you're not quite sure what I'm talking about for Medicaid waiver, email me and I can give you the sites that you need. So topics that we cover very quickly. A lot of it is about financial and legal. Well, that's because that's a lifelong issue from birth on. Finances steers the ship, sadly, for a lot of benefits, right? Okay, Medicaid and Medicaid waivers, medical and disability related supports and services, education, employment, and housing. So birth up to 18 years of age. Okay, it's super important, and where I see a lot of families struggle for quite some time and then get it, it's about the finances. Okay, from birth to 18, a child in your home that has a disability, depending on your income and your household assets, may or may not qualify for Medicaid, may or may not qualify for SSI. What makes it more confusing is under Medicaid waivers, it's a different threshold for income, okay? And we just can't get into that, but it's super important to understand that. So if you don't want to wait on Medicaid waivers till, well, I know, my husband and I both work, or, I have a big job over on campus and, oh, I'm not going to qualify. My kid's not going to qualify for Medicaid. So therefore I don't qualify for Medicaid waiver. That's not the point. The point is get on the interest list, because all they want is your name and contact information. They don't ask you anything until your child's name comes to the top of that interest list. And that's when they want to know. Okay. So please, it's super important to understand about Medicaid waivers, especially for children who qualify for IDD services. Okay. The other component with the income and assets that's so important until your child becomes an adult with disability is your own health insurance. A lot of people think, because it used to be this way in the olden days, well, okay, but I have a child with disability and I work over at A&M and I have great insurance. So, as long as my kid lives with me, I can just pay their share and they can be 40 and still be on my insurance. Not anymore, not under Affordable Care Act. So honestly, you must know your own insurance, or if you change jobs, you go across the state line, it affects Medicaid, it affects everything. So always know where you stand in terms of those two things. It's important for federal and state funding, as well as a lot of community resources, okay? So for families who do qualify for a child to receive SSI, again, household income and assets are very important. So I've given you the links for Social Security if you need to sign up for application for a child. Medicaid automatically comes. It's going to be Medicaid managed care now for anyone who does qualify for SSI. But it's super important for you to understand, federal is SSI, Medicaid is the health insurance. It automatically comes for somebody who's on SSI, but it is generated in the state. So you have to meet the requirements for finances as well as the income and assets for both of those programs. If you've never even looked on the website for your texasbenefits.com because you know you are not qualified financially for it based on assets, it's still really good as you have an adult child coming up in your family to really understand government benefits. It's crucial for them when you are not maybe going to be in the picture or your income changes with retirement and so forth. So the definition of disability for Social Security applications must result in marked or severe functional limitations and expected to last 12 months or result in death. Parents retain decision-making in all areas of your child's life until they turn 18. So a lot of times parents, if you have a child that's on SSI already, they're 5, they're 6, they're 12, they're 15. When they get to be very close to the age of 18, parents need to remember that at the age of 18, boots off SSI. Now, all you have to do is reapply, but you're reapplying as an adult. And so the function assessment is for an adult, okay? It's not automatic. You must reapply at the age of 18. And then Medicaid starts again, okay? So 18 years of age and older, even if your adult child lives in your household, they are an adult. They are their own household. And I know how hard that is to understand, but it's super important to understand that, because if at the age of 18, you're going, oh, yay, okay, my son is now an adult, so my income doesn't count, but it's okay because I have enough income. I've always taken care of them, and I'm going to keep paying their room and their board, and I'm going to put them on my income tax as a dependent. That's all fine, but understand what in-kind benefit means to the Social Security Administration. If you are paying it out, you're not showing, once they're approved for SSI, you're not showing that they need that for survival. And SSI is asset-based. It's for survival, okay? So room and board and food have to be covered under that SSI. So it's something that for sure understand before you apply. If you want the full benefit, if you want the full $842 a month SSI, make sure, I'm happy to talk to anybody about it, or reach out to someone that you trust in terms of A&M, Center on Disability and Development, or a program that you're already with, if it's a provider, for example, under IDD services. Okay, but you've got to be able to pay your own room and board. Otherwise, there's no need. You know, your mom and dad can pay it for the rest of your life. The government's fine with that. But if that's the case, then are you able to move your adult child forward and be independent if something happens to you, or even when they are really ready? So it's a process that needs started and understood before 18, if at all possible. Okay, for an individual 18 years of age and older who is on SSI, and they have the ability of working even part-time, Independent living philosophy tells me that is a really great thing. And again, Chris is the one that built the ship for me on that one, right? So it's important for your own well-being. It's important for your own ability to know your own value, to be able to also assist your family with expenses if you do live in the house, and be able to save up and become independent. All those things are great things related to work, even if it is part-time, right? So there are mechanisms in place for SSI called work incentives. That's a whole huge topic. Reach out to me if you want the links on it so that you can understand that in the future. But it is absolutely possible to retain SSI and work. You just have to do it the right way and know that the total together is going to be more than what you can make at $842 a month, right? Otherwise, then you're on SSI for those individuals who are able to work. Okay, we're going to really quickly go through this part. If there's any households here of low income and you don't know about county indigent care, I highly suggest you go ahead and look at that website. And also when your adult child turns 18, if they're not on SSI, so they do not have Medicaid, it is a way of getting basic medical coverage. And BVCAP has a table out. They have great opportunity for case management, utility assistance, and things like that. You have to be an adult. If it's a child, that's fine. It's going to go by your household income though. Okay. Right. We're not going to go over guardianship and alternatives because it's such a huge issue, but please know, please go over these if it's something that you already haven't made a decision on, or you're in a situation where you don't know what alternatives to guardianship there are, but you know you don't have to be a guardian because your adult child with disability, when they turn 18, maybe it's a matter of oversight that they need you, but they have the legal capacity to be able to act in their own best interest. So there, again, Mr. Miller, if any of you had done the Disability Rights Texas Guardianship and Alternatives, if not, I highly encourage you to look at it on the website when you're looking at the other PowerPoints. Disability Rights Texas has great resources in terms of advocacy and Americans with Disability Act compliance, by the way, housing, education, legal. It's very user-friendly for parents as well. Okay. So what I have listed here also is under estate planning. Everybody goes, you know, estate planning. Oh my gosh. Okay. Super important the whole way along the transition to think about it. And if you're saying, well, I don't have any money, my kid's not going to have any money, it's still important to understand, especially if they're on SSI, and there's a possibility that any other family member may bequeath them money because they think, oh, this is a great thing, I'm going to take care of my grandson. He won't have to worry the rest of his life. Well, if it affects benefits, then he does have to worry about it, right? So there's ways of sheltering, and it's absolutely legal to shelter so that Medicaid is there for the duration. Or SSI. Okay, we're going to skip that. So disability determination services, for those of you who have never applied for SSI, but you're looking for doing that for an adult child with disability, super important to understand that part under Social Security Administration. And again, Red Book, Blue Book under Social Security Administration, they're fairly user-friendly. They seem overwhelming because they're so big, but honestly, if you have any issues with it or where to go for the information, give me a holler. TexasProjectFirst.org is a really good website, especially related to public education and parental rights. You know, knowing what the school's telling you ahead of time so that you're aware. Yes, at 18, your adult child's going to have you get your signature unless you are legally the guardian, or you're looking at the the options for guardianship and alternatives to guardianship. Here's some other websites for alternatives for guardianship, as well as special needs trusts and Achieving a Better Life ABLE accounts are different than special needs trusts. You can have both together, but there's the link on it. Income trusts. Okay. I always get a lot of questions about, well, who can pay for guardianship because I can't, you know, it's thousands of dollars. There are some resources that are listed on here for that. Again, Medicaid waiver, know what it is. Medical disability and the financial need is just so important to be able to establish. And there's the waivers. Oh, she's gone. Somebody asked me specifically about different waivers, and I was trying to refer to which one that was. For birth to 6 years of age, if anyone is affected here, the best advice that I have is make sure whatever hospital or clinics you are involved with, know if it's, especially if it's a genetic disability or it is chromosomal, and they're telling you those kind of things, medical rare diagnoses and disabilities. It's super important to get a lot of support for community involvement from those entities. Bluebird Clinic at the Methodist Hospital or Texas Children's Dell Services. There are places where a lot of families go for specific kinds of genetic or rare disabilities. And they will help you with the disability part of an SSI application. Okay, early childhood intervention, Easter seals with Greater Houston. If you have birth to 3 years, please make sure you're reviewing this, that you have the information. Children's therapy program is 3 years and older over at the Easter Seals of Greater Houston. And they do have a local office. They come here. Parent Companion and Partners Resource Network has really good peer support and advice and a lot of information on different kinds of disabilities. If you're interested in that, those would be the links. Children with Special Health Care Needs is one of the Department of State Health Services brochures. If you need it, it's at the BBC table. Also setting up a medical home under Medicaid. It's real important for inclusion. There's all kinds of brochures from dishes that I brought today. You're welcome to grab them all. Navigate Life Texas is also a really good website if you've never been in touch with it regarding special health care needs. Okay, Early Head Start. It's available in any of the Brazos Valley communities, and there's the website for it. Okay, most of you, if you have children older than 3, you would have already experienced schools and how to get in the IEP process, how to get in the ARD process. Child Find is in any school. If you have questions about that or you're moving and you don't know where to find the services, look up for the Child Find number. Transition counselor at any special services, and that includes co-ops in the rural areas. Super important for you to get to know the transition counselor once your child is 14, but they probably won't work a lot on transition plans until a little bit later, like high school. It's super important to know that they can get you resources, assist you with getting resources. Partner Resource Network, again, a parent to parent is in one of the other rooms talking about the IEP process. Make sure you get her information. She's for the Brazos Valley. And there's other kinds of support depending on what your situation is. Regarding homelessness, childcare, dealing with child protective services, foster care, that kind of thing. Those are all the websites on that. Employment, big deal. Make sure to know about vocational rehabilitation services and make sure that your child and you are in the loop in terms of applications for vocational rehabilitation services. They even have an online application. It's super easy to do these days to get the application done. Not so much for 14-year-olds, but they do have to do applications from 14 and up. But in terms of internships, adult-based education, such as they have at Texas A&M, Center on Disability and Development for different programs over there, it's really important to have in mind a vocational rehabilitation counselor relationship, and because they pay for the trainings and some of the programs like the summer programs that we're involved with at BVSIL to be the employment specialists, they're paid internships. It's a great opportunity for a 16, 17, 18-year-old to get their feet wet with this is what it looks like in the real world, because they have supervisors who aren't mom and dad, and they have to toe the line with showing up on time, all the things we call soft skills for employment, right? It gives them the opportunity of going, well, I guess mom was right. You know, this is really important, because they can get told, don't come back. So it's great learning experiences, as Chris talked about, those kind of things. And it costs you nothing. It's covered by the state of Texas. Also workforce solutions. There's a table over here in the hallway, the hireability, which is Barbara. She introduced herself as part of the steering committee. Find out what information they have. They also, with Texas Workforce Solutions, they work with a large program called SEAL, S-E-A-L, which is Summer Earn and Learn, and that is a paid internship as well. The paid internships that I'm talking about have job coaches, so don't be scared of, oh, but I can't let my baby out there. You know, they have job coaching. The programs at Texas A&M have supervision involved. It's really important to try to find those. Job Accommodation Network, if you're really concerned about how to teach your adult with disabilities, how to advocate for themselves about accommodations that they need, but fear they might get fired for doing it, there is a job, here it is, Ask Jan, federal, totally free job accommodation network. It is an excellent source of information in terms of inclusion, and that's all that information. Ticket to Work programs, we have the brochures for working with a disability and Ticket to Work at our table at BBSIL. Also, they have some really great YouTubes and videos in terms of how to sign up. Super easy to do those. And housing. So housing is a big old subject all on its own, and it is a huge challenge for adults with disability on very limited income, no matter what county you live in. We're blessed in the Brazos Valley in that it's set up through BBCOG for Section 8 choice voucher program, so that you have a little bit of choice in where you want to live, but it's a voucher. It is not congregate public housing. There is public congregate housing, by the way, but a lot of families feel like that's not user-friendly to have their child try to be as independent as possible in an apartment. So all that information, again, if you're at that point in your life where you need that, you're welcome to reach out to me and I can help you navigate that, the wait lists and so forth. Otherwise, if you get on BBCOG and look up Choice Voucher Program, it'll give you the information that you need in terms of eligibility. But 18 years old and over, if someone can sign for their own apartment and apply for their own apartment, they are qualified for Section 8 housing, okay? I'm sorry that it went so fast, but please reach out to me if you have questions or you're having challenges with any of the links that I gave you. Thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And thanks for coming to the conference.
That's fine. Go ahead.